Hello, my name's Andrew Brooks. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video, we're going to be looking at Paul McCartney collaborations, and I didn't realise how many there actually were. Hello, and thank you once again for joining me on my YouTube channel. And as I said, in this episode, we're going to be looking at Paul McCartney collaborations. And when I actually started looking into it, because I thought, oh, I'll just show a few of my records. When I actually started looking into it, I didn't realise how far back it actually went and what it actually involved. So yeah, let's just crack on with it. Before I do, thank you very much to all my new subscribers. A big hello. All you need to do is just click down here and you'll be able to subscribe and see all the new videos whenever they come out. Okay, I started looking into this video thinking I've got lots of unusual Paul McCartney collaboration CDs, singles, vinyl, records, whatever you want, and I had lots and lots and lots of them, thinking, oh, I'll just show those because, you know, they're quite interesting, and probably a lot of people not native to the UK might not have even been aware of their existence. So I started doing a little bit of digging. Guess what I found? First non-Beatle collaboration was 1964 on Billy J. Kramer's single, Len McCartney single, From a Window, and apparently Macca sings the last verse. Who knew? I didn't know until I started looking. Mind you, that was Wikipedia, so who knows if that's true. But I'd like to think it is. And as I say, I now will have to start looking into earlier ones, because my first one up was one which isn't really a collaboration. When I say collaborations, there's stuff where he's been invited to provide a track, you know, an unreleased track, a different track, or help out on a single. Lots of charity singles in the 80s, but we'll come on to those. So really, I thought to myself, I know I've got something which probably are not a lot of non-UK people will be aware this even exists. It's not strictly sticking to my rules, so I'm already breaking my own rules, but hey, it's my video channel and I can do whatever I like. Please don't write in saying you forgot to mention this and there's this one and this one. As I said, I'm only showing the stuff that I've actually got. It's impossible for me to show things I haven't got, and not only that, it would be a mind-boggling list of records, because the collaborations and the supplying of tracks, you know, things like Rod Stewart, he wrote a track for Rod Stewart, and I looked at it, but he doesn't contribute to it other than the writing. So I thought, do you know what, I'm not going to show that. So I was trying to sort of weed out little things. So anyway, I decided not to go with stuff from the 60s, mainly because obviously, you know, Beatles, they were big then and stuff like that. So I thought, do you know what, I'll go from sort of like the 70s, and obviously you've got things like Live and Let Die, which obviously I've got copies of, and that was on the soundtrack album. He supplied the single to it. But I thought, do you know what, I'm going to go with some unusual stuff. So the first one up is this one. Now, this is actually my friend John Heaton's copy, because I found him a copy as well, and I promised it for him. So, John, this is actually your copy. So when we get to meet again, you'll be getting this one. So, yeah, it's Songs of London, and it's for a London radio station back in the day, Capital Radio 194. That's when it was on medium wave. Capital Radio still goes to this day, obviously plays modern music, but this was modern music at the time. So, and as you can see, on behalf of Help a London Child Charity, a lot of these are going to be charity singles with wings. So what track do you think they supply for Songs of London? And of course it's going to be London Town, first track off. Now, the reason I really wanted to show this, one, because obviously if you're not from the UK, or especially London, you probably would never even heard of Capital Radio. However, this was issued as a vinyl record on beautiful blue vinyl, and that's fantastic. So I just really wanted to show people who might not have even been aware of its presence, but it's on a fantastic blue vinyl. So if you ever do get to see a copy of this, maybe at a record fair or even a charity shop, it's only got London Town on it for the Wings point of view. It's no different to the release version, but it does come on very, very nice blue vinyl. Okay, next up, skipping forward a few years now to 1982, and obviously this is about the time of Pipes of Peace and things like that. So obviously he's now collaborating with Michael Jackson. Now he did give a track to Michael Jackson to use earlier on his Off the Wall album, which was Girlfriend, later recorded by Wings on London Town. But in 1982 on his Thriller album, Paul also gave him another track, and they re-recorded it. Well, they recorded it together on this Thriller album. And of course, it's The Girl Is Mine, which is up there. Girl Is Mine with Paul McCartney. It was issued as a single, so I haven't got the single out because these are mainly going to be things where he's contributed to other people's albums. And obviously there was like the picture disc of the 7-inch single and things like that. But I just thought we'll go with the album. So 1982, we've got The Girl Is Mine. Skipping forward to 1984, quite a big year for a number of reasons. Firstly, we have this album, the Everly Brothers. Now, Paul wrote a song for them and performed with them on it. It's called On the Wings of a Nightingale. It's the first track on the record here. So he does perform on it, and interestingly, it was issued as a single, I think in the States, right? Not in the UK. But it was the last ever single for the Everly Brothers to chart with. Didn't get very high in the charts, but it was in their top 100 anyway. So yeah, Paul's contribution to their album was their last ever chart single, On the Wings of a Nightingale. Also in 1984, we had the massive hit single, charity hit single, done by Bob Geldof and et al., called Band-Aid. And I know in America that you had your own version of a charity single, but this is the British one. This is the 12-inch single of it. Now you would have thought, yeah, all them top musicians appearing. In fact, there's a picture of them all. Top musicians appearing on this single. It's got to be at least a Beatle on there somewhere. No, none of them are actually performing on the Do You Know It's Christmas song. However, Paul very, very kindly recorded a very sincere and poignant message as a B-side, and certainly on the 7-inch single and on the 12-inch single, which is the copy here, it's got Feed the World, and that is all messages from various stars and celebrities, and Paul is one of them. So if if he didn't contribute to the actual record, there you go. If you want to get him talking about the problems in Africa, then pick up the Band-Aid 12-inch single because it's on there. Okay, skipping forward now to 1985, and guess what? We have another charity single. So it was in sort of memory of the Bradford City Football Club disaster, and unfortunately lots of football fans lost their lives, though it was a terrible tragedy. So in aid of the Bradford City Disaster Fund, they recorded a version of You'll Never Walk Alone, and the band was called The Crowd, and Paul does get a mention on the back, but again he only recorded a message. There is a 12-inch version here of it as well, you can see. And again, there's no difference other than you do get Paul's message on the B-side, which, okay, he's on there. What do we have next? Next up in 1986, now we have a proper Paul track. It was on a charity album called It's a Living World, and it was a part of the anti-heroin project. And Paul actually donated a song here called Simple as That, and it's the lead off track off of side one of the second record. It's a double album. which incidentally has Ringo Starr on it as well, doing a little comedy skit with Bill Oddie and John Cleese. But yeah, Paul's song "Simple as That" appears on this album, and from memory, I'd like to say it did appear on an album-ish of like, yeah, maybe on as a bonus track of Press to Play or something like that. But it's certainly around about that time. But anyway, it's on there. So if you can track that copy down, it's called "Simple as That." Also in 1986, he gave away another track. Well, he co-wrote another track rather than gave it away, and that was for Carl Perkins' album "Go Cat Go." And this is the CD version of it here. Here we are. And Paul's contribution to this album is it's on the B side, and it's called "My Old Friend," and it's a collaboration between him and Carl Perkins, co-writing it. This album, incidentally, features all 4 Beatles on it. So not only have you got Paul, you've got John Lennon version of "Blue Suede Shoes," which is obviously a Carl Perkins song from the live piece in Toronto '69. You've got George on here, and I'm trying to see it. Yeah, he's singing "Distance Makes No Difference with Love," and that's Carl Perkins and George Harrison. And with Ringo Starr, I'm trying to find where he is on here. He's definitely on here somewhere. Oh yeah, they record a version of Carl Perkins' "Honey Don't." So yeah, this has got all 4 Beatles on it, not together, but certainly separately, and Paul's version of "My Old Friend." And just pop that down there. Okay, next up, where are we? 1987 now. As I say, there are lots of other tracks that he may have given out. I haven't got them on record, so I decided not to include them. However, this one is another charity one, 1987, and it's for Ferry Aid. There was a ferry capsized in Zeebrugge in March of that year, 1987, and to raise money, Stock Aitken and Waterman, Pete Waterman, got together a whole band of musicians to record a version of "Let It Be." And interestingly, I hadn't noticed until a few years ago, the 7-inch single here has a different picture to the 12-inch, and there are some 7-inch singles with this picture on it as well. I'm guessing that Paul wasn't too happy with this picture here to be used, but there are different versions of this sleeve out and about. So it's a version of "Let It Be," as you can see here, and they did get together a whole group of musicians, as you can see there, and Paul does actually contribute on here. He didn't go down to the studios at the time. He recorded it at Hog Hill Mill, and he recorded his video input to it as well. And then later on, it transpired that he didn't actually record a new vocal. What he did was he nicked the Beatles vocal off of the Beatles recording, be it the single or the album, and obviously stripped away any of the music. So it is his vocal from the Beatles' "Let It Be." Unusual. I don't know why he just didn't record a new version. I don't know. Okay. Next up, now this was an unusual one, and I've got a feeling probably not a lot of people will be aware of this, but the BBC every year do an appeal for children in need as like a charity thing, and in 1988 Paul was asked to contribute, and what he did was he teamed up with some other musicians, and they released this single called "Spirit of Play," and the other musicians were Nicky Hopkins, Woody Woodmansey, and Craig Mathieson on the top here. And Paul provides bass guitar. So I think this is probably going to be quite a hard single to find. It was a charity single, and you might find it in a sort of a thrift store or a charity bin somewhere, but I don't think it charted very high at the time. I stand to be corrected, but all the proceeds did go to the BBC Children in Need, which usually raises millions and millions of pounds. So that's all good. Okay, next up, Now this was quite an interesting this was quite an interesting one in 1989, because in that year Paul ran a little competition, and it was in his Club Sandwich magazine here. This is actually the latter edition, earlier in the earlier editions. Like this is number 50, so like probably about 48 or 49 or something like that. They run the competition, and all you had to do was write a song in the style of Buddy Holly and the Crickets, and then they would record it. And lo and behold, in this edition, as you can see here, that's the article about the winning contribution. And the winning contribution appeared on this album called T-Shirt by the Crickets, and the song is actually called, guess what, T-Shirt. Now the whole album is well, I wouldn't say it's quite hard to find, because you know that you do see it knocking around, but it's probably not that that common knowledge that Paul's involvement in this. And there was actually a single released. There's the single for it, T-Shirt, and on the back of the single you can see Paul with the Buddy Holly's Crickets there. Also in the same year, 1989, we have a version of Ferry Across the Mersey, again recorded at Stock Aitken and Waterman Studios. I've got a picture somewhere of Paul coming out of the studio. If I can find it, I'll drop it in now. So this is the single of Ferry Across the Mersey, CD single and a 7-inch, and it is actually listed here on the back: the Christians, Holly Johnson, Paul McCartney, Jerry Marsden and Stock Aitken and Waterman. Again, this is for the Hillsborough Disaster Fund. It's got here, as you can see at the bottom. And it raised money for the families of the people who died at that football match. 1995 now brings us to this particular release by the Smoking Mojo Filters, and it's a cover version of Come Together. Now, who were the Smoking Mojo Filters? Well, actually, it's Paul McCartney, Paul Weller, and one of the Gallagher brothers. I can never remember which one it is. I'm sure it'll tell me on the front here. No, Noel Gallagher. There we go. And yeah, there was a single from the album, the War Child album, Help, and they did a version of Come Together. Right, leaping forward now to 1996, and here we have a copy of Allen Ginsberg's the Ballad of the Skeletons. Now, Paul does appear on this. Apparently he plays drums, organ, guitar and maracas on the first track, the Ballad of the Skeletons. So that's the Allen Ginsberg CD. I've never played it, as you can see. It's still sealed in its plastic. Okay, now here's an unusual one from 1998. It's a CD by Peter Kirtley Band, and it's a song called Little Children, and again it's another charity song, and yeah, Paul appears on this. I think he's on good guitar. I'm guessing, judging by the picture on the front of a child in the boot of a car, or a dead child or dead person in the back of the car, and some kids there, it looks like it's something to do with possibly South America, Brazil, sort of thing. But yeah, Little Children versions 1 and 2. Special guest Paul McCartney, version 1. He's on the vocal of version 1 of that single. Again, it's probably a single that not a lot of people are aware of, so it's one to look out for. Okay, now we're into shaky territory here. 1999, just coming up to the millennium, and Paul goes to the Daily Mirror Hero Awards, and he bumps into a certain Heather Mills, and well, the rest, as they say, is history. But in 1999, this was released, and yes, it's Heather Mills featuring Paul McCartney with a song called Voice. Now, this was recorded in Greece the pair of them, with Fiona, which is Heather Mills's sister, and then it was finished off at home in Peasmarsh. Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's no great masterpiece, I have to say, but again, if you're a Paul McCartney collector, fan, whatever, you may want to try and track a copy of this down. Again, it's another charity song, so Paul obviously, you know, gives his time for charity, but I'm guessing Heather Mills, he had other things on his mind at that time. So yeah, interesting voice by Heather Mills featuring Paul McCartney. What do we have next? Is skipping on 2 years now to 2001, and Tom Cruise, Vanilla Sky. This is the album of the music from the film. See here, and yeah, Paul does a track called Vanilla Skies, and his track appears on here. So also in this year, we had a classic, a re-recording of Ian Dury's New Boots and Panties, and basically it's a re-recording of his classic album. That's the cover from the original album, but Paul does a brilliant version of I'm Partial to Your Abracadabra. Now, there was a single for this. Unfortunately, it's really hard to get, and I never got one, so I have to make do with this album. Okay, broken rule number 2. I said I was going to be showing you things that I had, as it's impossible to show you things I don't have, and I don't have this one. But we were talking about Band-Aid earlier in the video, and in the 1984 version, how Paul never actually contributed to the music and just provided a message. Well, guess what? In 2004, 20 years later, I think it was like Band-Aid 2 it was called, he actually does perform on the Do They Know It's Christmas single. So if you want Paul singing Do They Know It's Christmas, you need Band-Aid 2, not Band-Aid 1. Okay, my final one for the day is another 7-inch single and another charity single connected to the Hillsborough disaster, to try and keep funds going for you know, legal campaigns and the like. They needed money coming in. So once again, Paul stepped up, and he was part of the Justice Collective, and they recorded a version of He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. And certainly, just looking on the back here, electric bass, electric guitar solo is done by Paul on this. So this one came out in 2012. So this is sort of the last one I'm going to show you. I'm going to mention one of them which I don't have, and that was obviously Kanye West and Rihanna's 45 Seconds. Yeah, I never actually got around to buying it. I don't even know if it was released in a physical format. Was it a download only? I'll have to look and try and find it. Anyway, as I said, thank you very much for watching. This has just been a very small snapshot of Paul's contributions to other people's records, and I didn't realize how many there were, so I'm now going to have to create a list. I'm going to have to start trawling record shops just to find these other albums, singles, and the like. As I say, big thank you to everyone who subscribed. All you need to do is just click this button down here, and probably up here by now are a couple of videos which I think you might enjoy. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.